Ready to.
That means I am recording.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Yes, I'd like to put that disclaimer out there.
Good, I'll remember to say that.
This is a recorded session. Jessica and I learned that the hard way because we had video bombers, accidental ones, because we weren't in a webinar.
Karen, you need to mute.
All righty. So it's 1 o'clock. I think we'll go ahead and get started. I know that we have a lot of our participants here already, so welcome everybody. Thank you for attending today's webinar. My name is Meg Austin. I am an academic advisor at CSUMB, and we're really excited to have you here today and excited to welcome you to CSUMB. So this webinar today is going to be really driven by your questions. We hope that you submit questions via the Q&A. And we will do our best to answer all of them before 2 o'clock. And if we, get slow on questions, we'll share our screens and give you some key information for you to know. But we really want you to submit those questions so we can help answer any questions or concerns you might be having. We have a lot of academic advisors here with us today, as well as our advising director. I'm going to go around and introduce everybody, and they'll wave and say hi as I do so. So let's start with our boss, Sharon Anderson.
I'm Sharon, and I used to be a science faculty, and now I'm in advising.
Thanks, Sharon. We also have both of our psychology advisors here today, Chrissy Lofgreen.
What's up, psych peeps?
And Jessica Herrera. You're muted, Jessica, but I think she waved. Hopefully,
hi everyone.
Okay. If you have it on gallery view, you should be able to see all of us. And then let's go to Anna Vega, the biology advisor. Gladys Cabadas, HCOM, Humanities and Communication.
Hi everyone.
Diana Valle Feliz, advisor for many majors.
Yes, many majors. I advise for math, statistics, AGPS, and environmental studies.
Lily Cruz.
Hi everybody, I advise Japanese, Spanish, and cinematic arts.
Jose Zavala.
Hi everybody, I advise for liberal studies and human development and family science.
Esmeralda Maldonado.
Hey guys, I advise for collaborative health and human services.
Jennifer Sahardi.
Hi everybody, I advise for business and right now hospitality as well. I have a co-advisor, Kerry Collins. She's on maternity leave. She'll be back by fall semester.
Vanessa Lopez.
Hey everybody, I'm the advisor for computer science and communication design. Welcome.
Jeanette Hernandez.
Hi everyone, I'm the advisor for kinesiology.
And Karen Wallace.
I advise for music and visual arts.
All right, so we do have a question already that came in, and maybe our boss can answer this one.
So the question was about housing deposits, and since there's no housing available for fall, the recommendation is that you leave your housing deposit there for spring. It will put you at the front of the line for spring housing. That's really the best recommendation. And then if you end up not wanting spring housing, you'll get your refund.
Thank you. Another question that came in is regarding our language requirements. So they think it's really awesome that, and I'm seeing anonymous attendees, so I don't see the name, so sorry about that. But they recently learned about our language requirement and they think it's really great, and they're unsure what classes would be required to take to fulfill this requirement. Although they've never taken a second language class at college level, they do know some Spanish. So their question is if I could potentially test into a higher level course. If so, how? So let's have Chrissy answer that.
Put me in the hot seat first. I'm sorry, I missed what major you were, but because it depends if you're a Bachelor of Science or if you're a Bachelor of Arts major. So if you are, I'm just going to choose Italian. If you are proficient in Italian, you can go straight into Italian 201. It's not necessarily that you need 3 semesters if you're a Bachelor of Arts major. You just need to get to that 3rd level or that intermediate level. So it's not so general. I would say definitely reach out to your academic advisor because they can better advise you as far as what's best for your major.
I will add that there's also an online Spanish placement that takes about 20 minutes, and we can put the link in the Q&A or we can send it out, but it takes about 20 minutes. It sends you your score to your email, and then you can email, it'll place you. And even if you want to start in the 1st level of language, you still have to take the placement because they don't want people taking the 1st level who really should start in the 2nd level. So if you're to take any level of language this fall, you need to take for Spanish, you need to take the placement.
Thank you. And I meant to say earlier that we are recording this today. So we are happy to send this video out to anyone who would like it to refer back to. Next question is all of fall semester online. Gladys or Sharon?
People are getting tired of hearing me talk. Gladys, you want to go ahead?
Oh,
okay, so yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So yes, all fall semester will be online. However, I do want you to please pay attention to the times when classes are offered. So if it does say that a class is offered on Mondays from 9 o'clock in the morning till 11:30, make sure to be available at those times, just in case the professor decides to hold live lectures during those times. But they all will be online, and you'll actually be accessing all your classes as well and submitting your assignments by clicking on iLearn. So right now, I believe most of you should have access to Dashboard. I did encounter some students that don't for some reason, but I contacted the Office of Admissions for that. But if most of you have access to Dashboard and you can see the link, the iLearn link on there. So make sure to kind of play around with that.
And I guess I would just add that the departments are still kind of modifying the schedule a little bit. So there might be the goal is that by about June 25th, which is before students register, all the classes will be updated in the class schedule to show which ones are meeting at real times and which are going to be remote. So there might be classes that normally meet twice a week in person and they're going to meet once by Zoom and once kind of remotely. Some will be meeting with 2 classes a week. So there's a wide variety of how different departments are approaching it. A lot of departments are planning to use breakout groups and small group, discussions just like if you were face-to-face. But the schedule will reflect by about June 26th, the schedule will reflect the actual way that the class will meet, whether you need to be available at a certain time or whether you can just do the work at any time.
Thank you. I will pose this next question to Jessica. This is from a student named Ronnie. What can you recommend for getting our desired classes and getting an academic plan up and running?
Hi, Ronnie. So we are hoping to get academic learning plans up and running after orientation and after you've registered for your first semester. If you have questions about classes to register, your advisors are sending out emails with all the recommendations. If you're still uncertain after you read all of those emails, then you can reach out to your advisor individually, and we're happy to help you if you have specific questions.
Thank you. This one relates to the last one, but we might be able to add a few more things. I'll direct this to Anna from Jordan. When should I speak to an academic advisor to set up my class schedule?
And mute myself, sorry. For biology, if you're a transfer student, I've already emailed you your transfer credit, but we do things a little bit differently for every major. You can start to reach out to your advisor we usually recommend after orientation, after you kind of know what classes we're suggesting for you to sign up for. We are available during summer for appointments. They're all going to be virtual. I think there might be some time like 4th of July where we won't be available, but we are available after orientation for you all to start booking your appointments.
And well, hopefully if you're planning on going to orientation, Jordan, you should be able to get some more clarification on classes at that time, and also from communication from your academic advisor. And I just want to remind everybody that's panelists and also the attendees that this webinar from 1 to 2 o'clock is specifically meant to help with transfer student questions. And then we're offering another one at 3 o'clock today for freshmen. Okay. Leslie is wondering, will the online transfer orientation last for most of the day? So let's have Sharon answer that one.
Okay. So the transfer orientations has like an opening welcome and then a bunch of breakout groups. So there's different events at different times of day. The advising part is either from 12:30 or to 1:30 or 1:30 to 2:30, depending on your major. And they're planning to send out an email to each student with the specific times and the specific links for each of the events. So although there are events planned from about 10 till 2:30, and then something for parents or supporters starting at 2:30, there really are different sessions that you join at different times. I guess if there's any more questions, you could just type them into the chat. If you have related questions, you could type them into the chat. Into the Q&A, not the chat.
Yes, thank you for clarifying the Q&A. Okay, so this question we may not be able to answer in depth, but we'll have maybe Jennifer try it. Will we still receive our housing and financial aid even though there is no on-campus housing? Does the financial aid, how does the financial aid and housing work? They also have children, the student does.
All right, so you gave me the hard one, Meg. So that's actually our department refers our students back to the financial aid office and the housing department to get questions answered, because we were only dealing with academic advising. So if you do not have the housing email, you can get it through the CSUMB website. At the top where it says search, you can search housing and it will bring you up the page, and you can contact them. All the contact information are at the bottom of every page to that department, so you can email them and get that information.
And I guess I would also add, and I turned off my video because my internet's so unstable. And now I'm in my garage to get better internet. So you guys will go through this too in the fall with your classes. Oh, where in your house do you have the best internet? So with the financial aid and housing question, your actual financial aid award is dependent on what your expected costs are and your expected family contribution. So Jennifer's right, definitely contact financial aid. But in general, if you had applied for financial aid based on living on campus and you won't be living on campus this semester, they would probably adjust your award depending on the type of aid you had. So you probably want to log back in and check your aid. And it could just be that loans are adjusted, but check with financial aid. And I'm going to answer, as long as I'm talking, sorry, the question about cancellation for housing. If you canceled, but now you think maybe you want to stay in the list, you could just email the housing office and say, hey, I canceled, but I'd rather keep my place in line for spring.
Thank you. And the student that was asking earlier about the language requirement and Spanish placements was an environmental studies major. So Diana, do you want to go ahead and explain the language requirement for someone who is a Bachelor of Arts major again?
Excuse me, yeah, for environmental studies, so as Chrissy kind of clarified, so there's 2 different paths. So environmental studies is a Bachelor of Arts, so you have to reach intermediate level. So that's coded to 201 here. So it could be, we offer, I think, Spanish, Italian, ESL, Japanese. So as long as you reach intermediate level, we'll give you credit for it. It doesn't have to be done here. So if you reach intermediate level at your community college, that's fine. But yeah, so that's the level you have to reach for environmental studies.
Thank you. And from Kieran is saying that they already sent in their cancellation application for housing. Oh, I'm losing it. It went away. Will I still be able to hold off on refunding so I can be at the top for housing during spring? Karen, I'd definitely say go ahead and reach out to the housing office to talk about logistics for that. Jim is wondering if they will receive a penalty if I don't apply for student housing. Not quite sure what that question is meant to be about. I would say, again, go ahead and talk to the housing office about applying for housing and when the best time is to apply for housing if you're planning on if you're gonna want to live on campus in the spring.
And housing, I talked to the housing director this morning, and he said that they're planning to send out some sort of a mass email to students with information about by the first day of orientation.
Okay. Sedona is wondering, will there be student IDs issued in the fall, or will it only be in the spring when we come back to campus? We were just talking about that, I think. If anyone knows the answer to that or has any information on that, I don't have that, but anyone's welcome to chime in.
They're encouraging people to still upload their photos, and they're trying to decide whether or not they're going to mail the IDs to students or if they're just going to hold them for spring. But they did encourage you to go ahead and upload your photo to the ID system, just like I think you probably got an email directing you to do that.
Okay, Niju is wondering, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I took 2 years of Spanish in high school and I'm a BS major. Would I still need to take the language courses? Although CSUMB might not have my high school transcripts, they may have my college transcripts. So let's have Jose answer that.
Oh, let me see. Okay, so for the Bachelor's of Science, you need one course of college level credit. So if you were in high school and one of those years of high school that you took, it was an AP Spanish and you took the AP Spanish test and you got a 3 or above for language or literature, we will accept that as one level of a language, but simply taking 2 years of Spanish in high school to meet your A through Gs will not count or not suffice. If you could have also taken it at a community college in dual enrollment or cross enrollment type of coursework, but it just needs to be college credit. And that's what our Spanish placement test is really for, to also help those students who may have taken 2 or 3 years of high school language and don't really remember or don't really know where their level of fluency is or proficiency. And so our online Spanish placement test will help you decide, hey, you actually remember a lot from your high school Spanish, you should be taking Spanish 102 or the second level of it.
All right. Next question from Leslie is wondering if we are planning to double major or minor, should we start taking classes for both in our first semester? So let's have Vanessa answer that one.
That is a really great question. And I might need some folks to kind of chime in on this one because it gets a little sticky with double majors, just because it can take longer than the advised timeframe to graduate, which is 4 years. I would always recommend also reaching out to financial aid to see if you have enough funding, if you are getting financial aid, to be able to cover both majors. Sharon, can you help me out here?
Yeah, so, and I'm, again, in the context that I'm speaking to transfer students who are from a wide variety of majors in terms of how many courses are just needed just for the first major. There are some majors where it's 2 solid years with no electives and good planning to finish your degree in 2 years. And so I would say if you're thinking of a second major, the best thing really is to also look and see what a minor looks like, because it can be difficult to get approval for a double major if you're coming in as a transfer, and you might be just as well off with a major plus a minor. In terms of starting classes right away, I would say that's probably not the best bet, because at least many transfer students have used a lot of their financial aid at a community college, and you don't want to run out of financial aid and have 2 majors half completed. So my recommendation was your first semester, take the courses for the first major, figure out what's needed, be able to make an appointment with the advisor for the minor you're looking at, and then kind of revisit maybe midway through your first semester. And there may be someone else that's been here a long time that would like to chime in too, because I know psych may be a different situation because there are a lot of elective units in psych. So Chrissy or Jessica?
But the thing is, typically, and again, if you are a psych major, I always recommend, especially if you're a transfer student, to maybe get a minor, because I just think sometimes your time is better well served in a master's program, because instead of spending an extra year or more here getting a double major, I'm always going to recommend that first thing is to look into minors, because you can move on and get that master's sooner.
If you do a major plus a minor, you'll graduate faster and you'll be into the master's program sooner. Yeah.
Yep.
Great. So Luis is wondering about our classroom management systems, and if it's, they've heard a lot of different titles of different applications that we use, like Dashboard, Canvas, Google Hangouts, iLearn. So this student is wondering if iLearn is what we use to kind of facilitate our online classes.
iLearn is our Canvas. So all the community colleges practically use Canvas. There might be 1 or 2 faculty here that are transitioning to Canvas, but iLearn is a Moodle-based kind of, it's a simpler, but the intuition about it is a little bit different. So it'll be a new system to learn, and there'll be some orientation modules that are in iLearn. So as you work through the online or some of the online parts of orientation, you'll start to get familiar with iLearn before the semester starts, which is actually a really good thing.
Thank you. Demiriz is wondering if courses that we took at community college do not satisfy all of CSUMB's general education requirements. Will this affect our enrollment status? Or will we just be required to take those courses fulfilling the missing units? Esmeralda?
So if you're still missing general education courses, then we definitely have to factor those in when we do actually do your plan in, at the end of the summer, at the beginning of the fall. You should have 60 units completed or in progress to actually be admitted. So units might not be the problem, but general education requirements might be still missing. So we definitely talk to your advisor, and we will go through that. But if we don't, make sure to mention it so we can factor that into your learning plan, maybe in a summer class, maybe, within your semesters, but we'll definitely work with you to get those finished.
The only exception might be is if you're missing, if you took a class for like A1, A2, A3, or B4 this spring and didn't finish it, then you may have to do an admissions appeal. It's likely that they will still let you in this year, but there might be an appeal process. But it would just be those, what we call the golden 4, A1, A2, A3, and B4, the math that might hinder your admissions through a regular process.
So next question is directed to Jennifer. Pruthvi is a business major and transferring from MPC and is asking about when registration will begin, and do they have to actually make an appointment for that?
All right, so welcome to the College of Business. We're excited to have you guys. All transfer students register on July 13th. So no matter what, all transfer students register on that day. The timing will be different depending how many units you're transferring in. You do not need to make an appointment to figure out which classes to take. I've already sent out 2 different emails regarding course recommendation for all transfer students. If you have not received it, you need to email me so I can send you those course recommendation. I also hope you're attending orientation because we are going to go over all those stuff, and we have breakout rooms where you guys can meet with the concentration advisors, not advisors, but professors, and you guys can ask them questions about which concentration to take and how that will look like.
Awesome. So the next question is, if there is a wait list for a class, what are the chances that you will get into that class? Karen, do you want to answer that one?
Yes, it depends upon how many people are on the wait list. And when you choose to have a wait list and be on the list, then the system, Oasis, is going to tell you how many people are in front of you. A couple of other things are important. You need to be sure that you do not have another class that you've enrolled in that's in the same time slot. In this case, since everything's going to be online, some classes have specified times where students are expected to meet with their instructors. Others don't. The other point that students need to be aware of, if you have not taken a prerequisite, or if it hasn't been loaded into Oasis so that the system recognizes the prerequisite, then the system will not automatically add you when it's your turn on the wait list.
Can I pop in here too and also say that wait lists actually go away too right before the semester starts. So what I would say is make sure you email the professor and let them know that you really want to add that class, so that if they by chance are holding their own wait list, that's something that you should reach out to the professor as well.
The other thing is that in general, departments don't use waitlists for courses where a lot of students need to use add codes or permission numbers, because you can't get into a class if you need a permission code. So you'll just sit on the wait list. You could be on number one on the wait list and people will pass you by. So I think usually wait lists aren't used when there's a lot of prereqs, but it's just something to be aware of, that especially if you needed an add code to get onto the wait list, you won't get into the course from the wait list without going to class the first day, pretty much.
Okay, Jennifer is wondering, how many units should I take in the fall? Lily, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, ideally you want to take 15 units, as it's going to be fall 15, spring 15, and then it totals up each semester 15 to get 60. But it depends on the units that you have and the major. So I would reach out to your advisor so they can look into the units that you actually need for each semester.
Fab. Okay, next student is wondering, can we attend summer school? Chrissy, you want to shoot at that one?
Well, I'm the lucky one. So I assume you're saying, can we attend classes at CSUMB during the summer? And yes, you can. So right now I'm just having my students reach out to the extended education office, because summer is run through a different department, and extended ed has actually helped some of my students out that wanted to register for some classes over the summer. So reach out to the extended ed. You can find them on the website if you just type in extended ed, and it takes you, or if you type in summer, it takes you straight to their website.
Next question is great. I love it. Leslie is wondering, at the community college level, there was a drop period after classes begin. Is there a drop period at CSUMB? Jessica?
Yes, we do have an add drop period. It's the first 2 weeks of the semester. You can go ahead and add classes the first 2 weeks. You can drop add classes the first 2 weeks online. So we have walk-ins during the first week typically. There'll be virtually walk-ins this year, but you can ask your advisor if you have any questions about adding or dropping a class at that time. Usually you have to use paperwork to get in during the second week because you need instructor permission. So we really encourage students to make sure their schedule is set up in online through your Oasis account the first week as much as possible.
And then I think maybe it's worth adding that it's a lot harder to get a W at a CSU than it is at a community college. So you pretty much have to be hospitalized, or I mean, you have to have what's considered serious and compelling reasons. So at community college, you could take a whole bunch of classes and decide, well, I'm not going to pass my molecular bio class, I'll just drop it and pass and get good grades in the other classes. You don't have that option here. After the first 2 weeks, you can't drop a class or withdraw. So it's really important to be realistic about what you can do. If you take more units than you have time for because you're working or something, you'll end up with, you know, essentially an F on your transcript. So you want to be realistic about how many units you can take.
Okay, next question. I think I'll have Anna answer. So the student is living in San Diego right now and asking if they would need to still move up to be near CSUMB campus for some of their science courses, or would everything still be online? And they were wondering because they've heard about some schools wanting students to be living near campus in a mandatory way their first year.
Yeah. So the biochem department will have all classes, including labs, online. They, like Sharon said, they haven't decided if they're going to be taught at the exact date and time that it says on the schedule. So we'll find out a little bit more at the end of the month, but they will all be online. I think the only exceptions are nursing and PA classes, which is not our bio students don't take that.
And I will say something about some of the novel things that they're doing to kind of help support students. So there are some lab classes in social and behavioral sciences, psychology that need specialized software. Of course, also in science and computer science. And they're looking for ways that students can actually like remotely access the computer labs that are on campus. So during your scheduled lab time, the students that are enrolled in your lab section will be able to remotely access the specialized software in the computer labs on campus. So for classes that need highly specialized computer or software, you won't be responsible for buying that software. They're going to work out a way that you can actually just use your computer and access that software on campus from wherever you are.
Okay, so our next question I think is for Jose. I am a part of the Teacher Pathway program and was wondering if I will be automatically added or have a spot in the necessary classes.
Yeah, so the Teacher Pathway program is a very specialized program on CSUMB campus, and we actually cohort a lot of the TPP students, and they're guaranteed classes. So if you're on the TPP for that are coming in from Hartnell, every single course for up to your graduation has already we're going to reserve seats for you and make sure an instructor is there to support. If you're coming in for TPP from the MPC or Cabrillo side, that's a new TPP program that we're barely getting off board, but we are going to make sure that you have the necessary courses you need in order to graduate in a timely manner.
All right. Student is wondering what kind of transcripts they should be submitting. No, it just went away. Oh, someone.
Sorry, it's because I typed the answer and I didn't know it vanished when I.
Good thing I already read it. So the student is wondering about what type of transcripts they should be sending in from their community colleges, the ones with their final grades on them, or the ones that shows their degree/certificate. And I think the answer is the ones that actually have your final grades on it and shows what grades you earned in the classes that you took. And it should also say like if you did go for an associate's degree, it should also say that on the transcript with the grades on it too.
So I just want to add to that that some students won't actually get their degree awarded until a little bit after their final grades are posted. So if you want CSUMB to know that you earned an AAT or an ADT, whichever one, AST, you want to make sure that we also get that transcript so that CSUMB knows that you've got that degree as well.
And the answer that I typed into the chat is that we have a July 15th transcript deadline for final transcripts. But again, as Gladys mentioned, sometimes the associate for transfer degrees are a little bit slower to post. And so if you look at your unofficial transcript a little before, in like July 8th and you don't see the degree awarded, there's usually about a week of leeway with admissions. If you email admissions and say, hey, I'm getting an associate for transfer, it's not posted yet. Do I have to send 2 transcripts, or can I just wait a week. They'll usually give you about a week leeway for your final degree to be posted. And that's only important if it's associate for transfer degree.
And I just noticed that we have another advisor join us just now. Tasneem, do you want to introduce yourself and what majors you advise for?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Tasneem Mohammed. I'm the advisor for social and behavioral sciences and global studies.
Awesome. Okay. So
there might actually be another advisor hiding in the participants who's on leave, but I won't mention her. Kerry's one of the participants.
Oh, awesome. Hey, Kerry. So next question is, is there a place we can go to find out what prereqs we've already completed? Who has a prereq heavy major besides me? Let's do Jennifer.
Okay, sure. Because like business is super prereq heavy. So you can definitely look at 2 different locations that will tell you if you have transferred over all of your lower division requirement. You can go to your OASIS and then click on the drop down menu and then select academic requirements and scroll down to the part where it says the major requirements. And if you're missing any courses that are numbered 100 to 299, that means you're missing some of those courses. If it's red, that means it's missing. If it's green, it means it's already fulfilled, it's already transferred over. Another place that you can look through that stuff is to click on a drop-down menu and select transfer credit. And then you can look over all your transfer credit and see if everything that you needed to fulfill has already been fulfilled or transferred over.
All right, so then this next question I'll probably answer. If we're transferring with an AST for science, do we need to take the college level language class even if we took 3 years of foreign language classes in high school? Yes, so you do need to earn college level credit for language other than English if you're coming in as a Bachelor of Science degree. Then, but we offer, lower division language classes that you could take, or we also offer upper division language and culture classes you can take to fulfill the language requirement as a BS pursuing student. So you can go ahead and reach out to your advisors for specific class information on class advice for those, but there are multiple, different classes you can choose from to fulfill the language requirement, but you do need to take a college level language class even if you took 3 years of it in high school. I just muted myself. Okay, so for her, this sounds like it's a question for Karen. For the music program, is there going to be any equipment for the students that they should have, considering that we cannot use the facilities because everything is online? I was wondering if there's anything that we should preemptively get.
Sharon, do you want to answer this, or is it okay if I do?
You can answer that, and I'll add if there's anything else to add.
The music department is working on as many different ways as possible to assist the students. They have proposed the idea of sending keyboards to the students who would be taking keyboarding 1 or keyboarding 2, or learning in some way with the keyboard. They are also talking about ways to help students connect up to the computer systems that we have so that they can still do programming. Can't really think of anything else. Sharon?
Yeah, and I think some of the music classes are actually, there's specialized software, or maybe it's just Mac-based software, but they are, there's like new apps like Acapella where you can actually do choirs and things via apps. So they're looking into technology-based approaches to a lot of things. But as Karen mentioned, they're talking about, for people that are enrolled in the keyboarding classes, they're talking about having students check out a keyboard. They're buying fairly inexpensive keyboards, and they're talking about checking them out to students for the semester. And I guess this might come up later, but if you're an art major, they're actually talking about, for some of the arts classes, they're working to identify lists of materials that are safe and non-hazardous, and making, because there's a lab or a course fee that you pay for some of the arts classes, and they're talking about mailing packages of the arts materials to students so that they can still do their arts projects at home.
Great. I am getting several questions about where to find the online Spanish placement. So I am going to pull it up and share my screen with everybody and show you where you can get to the link through our website. But you can also, if you ever can't find it, you can always email your academic advisor and they can send you a link. So hopefully you all can see the catalog page. So you can get to the catalog by going to any CSUMB website and going to the very bottom and clicking the catalog link. That will take you to this page. Then you can click undergraduate requirements because the language requirement is one of our undergraduate requirements. Then you'll click on world, culture, and language. Then there's a lot of different drop downs and information on this page, but you're going to want to scroll down, until you see placement. Oh, they used to be. Anyway, so yeah,
it's right there. It's right there.
You'll want to look for the placement heading, and then the link is right there. And then if you have issues about trying to get onto the placement, then there's an email address you can email. Okay. Pull up the Q&A again.
And the catalog site, although the Spanish department website tells you what to do with your once you get your score, but you're supposed to email, and we can actually send this out in a general email to everybody, but you're supposed to email the WLC@csumb.edu and tell them your score, and we'll just send out an email to everyone with instructions about how to do the placement and what to do with your score when you get it.
Okay, so Jordan is wondering, how will I know which classes I need and don't need with my transfer credit? So does Jeanette, do you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, sure thing. So I think one of the most helpful places, and I think Jennifer kind of brought this up a little bit, is you can check your transfer history, and then you can check your academic requirements report. At least for kinesiology, there's not too many when it comes to prereqs that we have, but that report is really helpful in letting you know what requirements you've completed and which ones you're missing. So you'll get to see if it's green, it means you've completed that requirement. If it's red, that's something that you're still gonna have to meet. So that's a really good place to look for or look at. And of course you wanna check in with your advisor to just make sure everything's on track and just confirm if some of your transfer stuff has come through, because I know for some majors, it's just taking a little while for some of that info to come through. So you just wanna check in with them to see about that info.
Can I pipe in too? Again, there's a lot of, for psychology majors, there's a lot of lower division research methods courses that are not articulated to Cal State Monterey Bay. So don't panic. It doesn't mean you have to take it again, as long as you know you took a prereq and it's in your transfer it's in your transfer credit. Just talk to your advisor, because it may be that it transferred over here weird. So just talk to your advisor.
Okay, so Daisy is wondering what kind of programs or resources does CSUMB offer for students with children? So I can definitely speak for or how we try and support students who have, responsibilities outside of classes and have people that depend on them. And we try to work with you as best as we can to help build your schedule that works with your life. We understand transfer students come in with lots of responsibilities and trying to fit school around that. So that's kind of where we try to be as developmental as possible in our approaches in advising, specifically our office, but I can let someone else, if Sharon wants to chime in on anything she knows of any support for things outside our office that students can look for if they have children.
Yeah, and I guess we also have a transfer center, and they have a great website with resources, and there is a parents club. And so I think, and I think what they're doing right now is they're really trying to explore and think through the challenges that people face, right? You know, taking classes remotely when you've also got young kids. Several of our advisors have young kids, or, you know, juggling the kids and the school and the work is tough. And speaking of that, I just saw Kerry's now a panelist. Do you want to introduce yourself, Kerry?
All right.
Mute. There we go.
Sorry. Yes, I will introduce myself. Let me start my video. Oh wait, it won't let me start my video, but I'm Kerry Collins. I'm the other half of business advising. Typically, I advise for business last name A through L and all of the hospitality major. I'm out on maternity leave right now. I was just trying to be sneaky and secretly support my coworkers on their Zoom webinar, but I will be joining back again in the fall, and I look forward to working with all of the business and HOS students.
Thanks, Kerry. Okay, so when can we start registration for fall of 2020? We, for transfer students, it opens July 13th. So same day for all new transfer students. You will have your specific enrollment time on your OASIS Student Center. So you should be able to see that now. If you log into OASIS from your dashboard, you should be able to see the date and time, which when you can start registering for classes, but it's going to be opening July 13th. Who can we talk to about switching majors? Let's have Diana answer that.
Yeah, so the best route to do this is to speak to the advisor of the major you're thinking on switching to. So some of our majors, especially in the sciences, are impacted. So there's certain classes that you have to take before you officially get switched to the major. So just check in with the advisor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link a list of all the advisors here. So I'm going to type it in as an answer so you have it. But yeah, just click on that to look for the contact information of the advisor you want to talk to about switching your major into.
Next question is financial aid related. So student has been having a hard time accepting their financial aid award letter. So yes, go ahead and reach out to financial_aid@csumb.edu and they can help you with what to do next for accepting your letter. Okay, next question. I didn't have to pay anything for my orientation and I have people that I know that did. I'm wondering why that is.
Should I go ahead and answer that?
Sure.
Yeah, so fine. So everybody is charged for orientation. It's just part of a fee. I don't think nobody should have been charged an additional fee for orientation unless they're in another program that's not a stateside program like nursing or the computer science online, which might have their own fees. Or I guess say that there's no additional fee, it's automatically on everybody's account. So maybe some types of financial aid cover it and some don't.
Next one is clarifying reaching or taking 201 level of a language. So yes, if you are a Bachelor of Arts degree, if you are someone who is pursuing a Bachelor of Arts degree, then you need to take and complete and pass level 201 intermediate level of a language to fulfill the language requirement.
And we do have a Spanish for Spanish speakers course, Spanish 212, which is highly recommended for people that grew up around Spanish, but maybe don't spell that well or don't have any college Spanish credit on their transcript. So we strongly encourage anyone who speaks Spanish, who's fluent, to just take the Spanish 212, Spanish for Spanish speakers to meet their requirement.
Next question is how I enroll for the installment payment plan. I guess if you're not working directly with financial aid, I would say contact the Campus Service Center at onestop@csumb.edu to ask about payment plans. Will we still be charged for all campus related fees if fall semester is online? Sharon, do you want to talk any more about that?
Yeah, I will say that most of the campus fees will be still charged because we're building a new student center. And so one of the fees was students voted on themselves to pay for that they would be charged to help build a new student center. And they are still hoping that there will be furniture in the new student center. And so, and fun stuff. So that fee will still be assessed. The health center fee will still be assessed because you still have access to personal growth and counseling center, mental health services, all the support programs that they offer. The recreation one, I think there's a recreation fee. That's the only one I'm not so sure about. But as far as I've heard, the fees are still going to be assessed. The only one I'm not sure about is recreation.
And if anyone knows the answer to this next one, that if I'm not correct in my answer, then please correct me. How do you upload your photo to the student for your student ID? If they need help with that, should they email onestop@CSUMB, or does anyone else know?
I think they haven't sent out the email with the upload instructions because they're still trying to, because they know once they send out that email, they'll get 5,000 questions about how do I get my ID. So I think they're trying to have the answer to the how do I get my ID before they send out the instructions of where to upload it. So that will be coming. And again, I think sometime by about June 20th, you should have some information.
All right, for Karen, their cinematic arts major, where should we go to make an appointment with our advisor to schedule fall classes?
Wait a minute, there we go. You would either contact us by email. Lily is going to be taking over, or you can go to Insight on your dashboard. There is a connection for making an advising appointment, and you can request either me or Lily. Lily is, as I said, going to be taking care of and mentoring all of the cinematic arts majors in the future. She really loves making movies and everything about them. Lily?
Yeah, I send a couple of emails. They can email me as well, and we can walk through it if they want to.
Okay, how much access will we have to tutoring in the fall? The student is very worried about taking 15 units online. So do we want to have Gladys answer that? You can hear me.
No, yeah,
Well,
sorry,
okay, well,
I couldn't hear you that well. Can you say it again?
Well, I can answer it. Do you want me to answer it? Because I actually know the answer. So the question was about tutoring, and they are still going to have tutoring. It will be available by Zoom, especially for science, math, language. There will still be writing support. There's always been writing tutoring available remotely, and that will continue. And you do generally some of the support will be drop-in, but a lot of it will be by scheduled appointment. But there will definitely be tutoring. And I was also thinking, and some of the other advisors might disagree with me, but as you sort of transition in to both a new university and this very weird time, and especially those of you that are juggling kids or maybe even having to help younger siblings with their school, juggling work, you know, this might be a semester where it would be okay to only take about 12 units, because I think that when I look at programs that are designed as online programs, students are really only taking 2 classes at a time, usually with online classes. And so I think that you might just be better off not feeling like you absolutely have to do 15 units this semester and be okay with 12, because as you probably discovered in the spring, it's a little bit different to be doing it online, and we want to make sure you're successful. And especially if you're missing GE classes, you can always go back and make those up in a summer at a community college. We offer summer classes too. You know, you want to be realistic based on your experiences last spring about what you think you can really succeed in. And I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in. That's just kind of my own personal perspective.
Yeah, thank you. I am just conscious of time, and there are a lot of questions that have come in and we still have not answered them yet. So I just want to assure you that you could always email your own academic advisor. You should already have at least one email from your academic advisor in your CSUMB email account, which you can get to by clicking the mail link in your dashboard. So if we don't get to your question, then please, if you still have questions, then please reach out to your academic advisor, and we'll be very happy to help you.
I think a lot of the questions are about language, and so I've seen a couple about sign language. Sign language does count as a language other than English. And when you go to orientation, you'll learn more about the specific language requirement for your majors. So maybe what we'll do is we'll leave all the questions about language until orientation, when you can get major specific information, and then maybe Meg can kind of stroll through the questions and see what what else were, because a lot of them were about language.
Yeah, so some are asking about using a schedule planner, and that some classes aren't appearing or showing up when they're trying to search for classes. And there's a video on how to use schedule planner on our guides and tools page on our advising website. And I would suggest watching that because it takes you through all the things all the functions of schedule planner, because one of the functions is searching for open classes only or closed classes or everything. So you might be trying to search for a class that's already full. And then again, go ahead and just get back to your academic advisor if you want other class recommendations.
And I think some of the questions, I'm just kind of looking through the list. There's some questions about minors, and going back to the original conversation about when we were talking about graduating faster with a minor, and that comparison was you can do a minor more easily than a second major. So that was that context. A lot of the questions I think are going to be fairly major specific, and that it will be good because some majors you can do a minor within the major, some it's in addition to the major. So I think we'll leave those for the orientation sessions. And then if you don't feel like you get those answered, then we can do some follow-up. There are questions about class availability and not very many open seats. We are trying to do some planning and looking to see what are the courses that students really have to take this semester that there aren't very many seats open in. There are a couple of bottleneck courses that we're working on opening some additional seats, but the one thing I can say is that your first semester, even though you might really want to take something your first semester, in general, you have many alternatives. And so we can help you pick the alternative courses that you can take if the one you wanted to take was full. There's a question about, do we think that spring 2021 will be online? I'll say no, but who knows? I mean, I don't think so, but ask me again in November. Does anyone see, looking through the questions, do people see other questions that we should try to respond to right now?
Already addressed yet.
Classes to take during summer and not waste time. That's a really good topic for meeting with your advisor.
Yeah, because that's going to depend on your specific situation. There's a question about enrollment appointments. An enrollment appointment is the time that you can register. And if you look on if you log into OASIS, in the lower right corner, when you first log in, you should be able to see exactly what time you register. On the 13th, everybody registers at a different time.
Yeah, you don't need to sign up for anything with that. It's just that it's already been assigned to you. So that's just so you know when you can actually click enroll.
Question about EOP. EOP will be emailing students who are accepted. And there's a question about minimum units in the fall. So I think I will take that one. So at a community college, you pay per credit. At the CSU, there's two tuition structures. One is half-time, which is 6 or less units. The other is full-time. which is anything over 6.1 units and 1 units and above. If you have financial aid, however, you won't get your full financial aid if you don't take 12 units. So there's the question about the minimum units you can take to be considered a CSUMB student is really like 1 class. But that you're going to pay for half-time tuition if you just take 1 class, and you won't get full, you know, you won't get your same financial aid. So that's probably like if you're thinking of not taking so many classes, that's a really good thing to try to schedule an individual meeting with your advisor. There's a question, Jose, about the teacher pathway program and how do students get into the teacher pathway program?
Yeah, I can answer that one quickly. I'm looking through some of these that are kind of we've already answered. But for the teacher pathway program, there's if you're coming in, you have to be coming in from a very specific college or community college to actually take part in that program. So like I said earlier, Harnell is one of them. We're on our 3rd year with our 3rd cohort in that program. And we're barely taking off with MPC and Cabrillo. We have plans to kind of outreach it to Gavilan, our 4th community college in the area. And if you're applying to CSU, if you're going through the CSU apply and you go to like the Monterey Bay, you click on us to apply to us. There's actually like a page section number 4, or I forget what the exact number of it is, but it says, are you interested in being part of this program? Yes, no. And then that puts you on our list for us to keep you in mind for that program. It is a little bit different for the MPC and Cabrillo because it's newer, 1, and 2, you're actually going to be on campus. For the Harnell one, we bring instructors down to King City and North Salinas where you will be taking your courses. We bring the instructors to you. So there is some prereq requirements, but it's all through kind of our admissions. And if you are in, like, let's say you have friends at Harnell, MPC or Cabrillo, we actually have grants and we have folks who are working on starting you at the cohort at the community colleges. So you can reach out to them and they'll be able to assist you. And if you don't know who that is, email me. I'll put you in contact with the right people for your friends or other folks that you think are good fits for the program.
And now I know we're at 2 o'clock, but I saw that Jacinto has joined us. So Jacinto, do you want to introduce yourself and what you do at CSUMB? Oh, now he left. Okay, well, so we are at time today. I hope we were able to answer most of your questions and hopefully give you some more clarity. Like Sharon was saying, if you're planning on attending orientation, which I strongly encourage you to do, we will give you even more information at orientation, and it'll be specific to your major as well. So you'll get info there. And yeah, thank you for all submitting your questions, and thank you for participating. And thank you to all of our co-hosts, all of our advisors for joining us today and showing everyone your face and who you are, if you haven't already watched our videos. So yeah, I appreciate everyone participating.
And we can try to capture all the questions that we didn't answer and pop them up on our FAQ on our website.
Great. Okay. I'm gonna end the meeting now, and I hope everyone has a great day, and we'll look forward to welcoming you more at orientation.
Bye.